Leonie Dawson.
Hello. Today I wanted to talk to you about something a little bit different. What if building a business could be the greatest spiritual quest of our lives? First, I want to start off by honouring the oldest living culture in the world, and want to pay my special respects to the Wadawurrung people and their elders past, present and emerging. Before we begin, I wanted to invite you to see our businesses through the eyes of enchantment. And before you ask, what in the hippie woo-woo is this unicorn talking about? Hi, I'm Leonie Dawson. I'm a 7 times Ausmumpreneur award winner. I am the author and illustrator of the My Brilliant Year Goals workbooks, which have been used by over 500,000 people worldwide. My Brilliant Biz and Life Academy started in 2010 and has taught tens of thousands of humans. I've created over $15 million in revenue with extremely high profit margins while only working 10 hours a week. So I share this with you because I know that business can be fun, it can be exhausting, it can be crazy, it can be hilarious and ridiculous and wild and profitable and backbreaking and taxing. And it can also be the most incredible spiritual and personal growth journey and an adventure of the soul. So once upon a time, we all started our businesses just as a girl with a dream. We wanted to change the world. We saw a gap in the market. We saw something that was needed. And we saw that maybe possibly we could take up residence in that hole in the universe that we saw. We were emboldened with sweet optimism and a precious kind of naivety. We had big old pie in the sky dreams of what was possible. And we were wild and brave-hearted as we birthed those fledgling dreams into the world. And then reality slowly dawned. We had to grow up real fast. We met the hardest parts of running a business. We had to learn those skills of logistics and people's management and putting out business fires and constantly scrambling for cash flow. When things got tighter, we tightened our grip, convinced that control would be our savior. We got fixated on the numbers, on our spreadsheets and our profit and loss. We flirted with burnout or even collapsed fully into it. And where once we had dreamed of being our own boss, we discovered our new boss was the worst boss that we'd ever worked for. Nothing we do is ever good enough, and there is no downtime. There's only guilt of how much we should be doing at work, how much of our children's childhoods we are missing in a fugue of stress and overwork and exhaustion. And everywhere we look, there is lack. The mistakes that we've made, the pains that we've experienced, the frustration, when we didn't win the prize, when the opportunities fell through, when the profit and loss shows red. All of it can become irrefutable proof that we are unworthy. Our marriages can begin to creak under the strain of it all. And if only we were better, then at last our businesses would bring in the money and the lifestyle that we craved and fix all those problems. We started dreaming about the time we could retire or sell the business, even when it was once our heart's biggest dream. If you felt these feelings, I want you to know that you are not alone in feeling them. It's held by all of us at different times in the entrepreneur's journey. Here's what I want you to know. I've been selling online since 2002. I've been blogging since 2004. My husband and I left our government jobs to be full-time in our business in 2010. We haven't had to leave the house to work since we've been parents. And it has felt like the most ridiculous blessing of my life that I've been able to craft a creative career of my own. You know, I grew up in a cattle farming family from North Queensland. And when I told my parents that I wanted to be an artist and a writer, they told me that I couldn't because there was no money in that. And $15 million later, I've proved them wrong. This beautiful business of mine has been one of the most profound miracles of my life. And I couldn't quite believe my luck that I got to help beautiful people and make beautiful things, and I could make money from it, enough to stay home and look after my gorgeous babies. And I also want you to know, whole of heart, that at some point barnacles began to grow over my spirit. I became guarded and jaded after experiencing concerted online trolling attacks. My heart felt broken when I hired staff who caused me nothing but drama and pain. Very, very expensive pain. And I made the rookie error of hiring friends, only to lose their friendship entirely. I was followed and I was groped by overzealous fans who no longer saw me as a human, but only as a projection. My business grew to over 20 staff, and I discovered that I hated having a large team, and I needed to right-size and simplify my business. I experienced the duality of fame and success, and I did not know how to hold it all. I measured my success purely on my profit and loss statement. I became critical of other people. I doom scrolled too much, and I took an unpaid job of being a critic of the world. I gave up on personal development or any kind of growth. If it didn't affect my bottom line, I just didn't care. And so I retreated. My heart that was once an open book became padlock closed. Once an optimistic fairy, I became more cynical and jaded. I took respite in my sweet children, and I started a spreadsheet to track my goal of retiring by the age of 45. This thing that I had dreamed of all my life, I wanted to get off the carousel. I wanted relief from my relentless ambition. I wanted to fire myself as my own boss. And I wanted to live a really mediocre life where I played a lot of Stardew Valley and read my books and thought of nothing that would change the world or myself. One of my favourite books as a kid was The Faraway Tree. I found it this morning in a bookstore around the corner. The faraway tree was the tallest tree in the forest, and it was inhabited by a cast of magical folk like Silky and Moonface and Dame Washalot. Children with dubiously 1940s names like Dick and Fanny would visit the tree. It was so tall it reached far above the forest and reached into the clouds, and on each of the clouds there were lands, and you could visit them by climbing to the top of the faraway tree. The lands were always changing, just as the clouds do. One week you could visit the land of do as you please, and the next would be the land of giants. The next day would be the land of tea parties. The trick in visiting these lands was in knowing that they could change at any time, and to not get stuck when the land suddenly swung away from the tips of the faraway tree. I tell you all of this because I want you to know that I got stuck in the land of cynicism and being jaded. I thought the heyday of my career was over, and that I could never create anything again with the levels of joy and enthusiasm that I did when I was younger and less ruined by reality. For those of you who already know my work, this might surprise you, because I'm known for my excitement and my love of the world, and nothing is black and white. I wasn't faking any of those things. I still made things, I still loved my people, and I still experienced so much joy and gladness and pride in my work. It was just an inner setting somehow got stuck, a base level of cynicism that I couldn't shake my way out of. I remember speaking to the author Sark on the week of her 70th birthday. She told me that she had no plans to retire, that what she had was a calling, not a career. And it lodged somewhere inside of me and threw up a question. Once upon a time, I'd felt the same way, but somewhere along the line that I'd gotten lost, and I didn't want to keep living in the land of disenchantment. It was the simplest awakening. One day I was wondering over what to do with these feelings of discouragement, and I realized that the answer was in the word of what I was feeling. To fix discouragement, just add courage. To heal disheartenment, you need more heart. So to cure disenchantment, you need enchantment. I didn't need to retire or lock my heart up in protection. I needed to see this entire journey through a whole new lens. I needed to discover a new way of doing business. I needed to ask myself new and better questions. I needed to enter a whole new land at the top of the faraway tree. And so Project Re-enchantment began, where the questions led the way to changing my life and my business. What if our mistakes were holy? What if I looked back at all of my years of doing business and I no longer saw a battlefield of mistakes? What if I saw every single moment and every single opportunity as being exactly what I needed it to be? What if I gave up my Scorpio tendencies of holding grudges as eternal flames and instead learned forgiveness? What if I forgave myself for every moment that I couldn't do better and forgave every other person who did exactly the same, whether they trolled me or they worked with me or I'd lost their friendship? What if I could love them? What if every time I didn't meet the mark, there was a holy moment of possibility? A moment I could expand and learn and grow and heal and transform. A moment I could end up even more grateful for the pain, for giving me the opportunity to discern what was right for me and what was not, and to have the courage to know the difference. What if all of this was a quest to grind off the roughest parts of me, to slow away the barnacles and to tumble me until I glimmered like a river stone? What if at the end of all of this, I was more grateful for the mistakes and the misadventures because they brought me home to myself and crafted a bigger, bolder, braver version of me? What if there was no regrets and only gratitude? Every twist and turn on this map making this journey an even more incredible quest, the adventure of a lifetime. What if your ideas weren't just imaginings, but were seeds gifted to you by the angels? What if surrounding the earth was a circle of benevolent beings praying for the highest good of every soul here? And what if those angels weren't able to make the changes they wished to see in the world, and so they planted seeds of dreams seeds of ideas in the dreams of humans, knowing it is our hands that we must be birthed through? What if our dreams are not just ours, but belong as the perfect puzzle piece to unlock the greatest destiny for all of us? How would this make us feel differently about these adventures in business? What if you were your ancestors' wildest dreams? That through all of the eons, your grandmothers had hoped and dreamed and prayed for the exact opportunities that you have right now. For you to have more power, more control, more access to finance, more able to birth your dreams into the world, more able to make change, more able to touch the lives of so many more humans. What if you no longer had to make the choice between your dreams and your children and instead carved a whole new frontier of doing business and children, both whole of heart? What if by redefining your potential as a woman and a mother, you were carving out a whole new paradigm for your future descendants. Your daughters are watching you, your granddaughters are watching you, and you are their role model of a whole new world being born. What if you were healing generations past, present, and future just from the work that you are doing in your businesses right now? No wonder this work feels weighty sometimes. It holds within it the wishes and dreams of ancient and future generations all at once. We are carving out a whole new world with our power and our heart. We are so blessed and lucky to be at this frontier. What if you were born worthy and had nothing to prove? A zebra does not wonder whether it needs to have its stripes be thinner in order for it to be worthy or for it to be loved. A zebra is out there on the paddock, standing in the sun, saying, I am a motherfucking zebra. I'm gonna eat this grass, I'm gonna enjoy this sun, and I'm gonna love the absolute shit out of this life. What if you remembered every single moment of every single day that you were born to be exactly who you are? Not one stripe out of place. Every cell in perfect alignment. Holy, divine, lovable, and worthy. What if we celebrated every single win, every victory, every micro movement? What if we gave up on vision boards and replaced them with rear view mirrors, boards filled with gratitude and miracles that has already befallen us? What if we gave up on being the world's worst boss to ourselves and started gentle parenting ourselves every way to success? We often believe that when we have a dream and when we have a hope of what we want to create in the world, we should just be able to do it like that. And yet, every single one of you has seen a baby being born into the world, and she does not walk on the first day. There are so many steps along the way. You know, when they're first born and you just watch their face for hours on end, because like every single day it's like they've got a new muscle in their face and they have like this little smile that can flirt and they can do this new expression, and you're like, oh my God, you are a genius. Look at you, you are so cute. You're the cutest human you've ever seen exist on the planet. And then slowly, slowly they learn how to roll. Slowly, slowly they learn how to sit up and they develop all of that core strength. Every single step of the way, you're like, oh my God, you are so clever. Look at you, you are so strong. Oh my God, you're taking photos, you're texting them to your partner, to the ones who love your baby just as much as you do. You are celebrating every little step along the way. And it takes an age for them to learn to stand up and to hold themselves and have balance. All of these micro steps along the way in order for them to one day take their first step. And it does not come easily. They do not sit there and they watch everybody else doing these things and goes, if I just study what everybody else is doing, then I'm going to stand up and I'm going to make 0 mistakes in this process. No, those babies fall so flat on their ass 1,000,000 times a day. And that's what it takes to build a skill. And so we need to gentle parent the shit out of ourselves. We need to be like, oh, baby girl, look at you. You just learned how to create an opt-in. Like, oh, look at you go. Oh my God. And you fell on your face many times and you cried and screamed at the tech going like, you're a piece of shit. Like, why you not do this? You know, and it's all of that frustration. It's like, you know, when you see like a baby and they do get frustrated that their skills aren't where they're at, and sometimes they just turn into like baby hulks. They turn kind of bright red with rage, and then it passes, and then they get back to trying again. They don't look at everyone else and go, well, they're walking faster than me. They attained that milestone months before I did. Therefore, I must suck, and therefore I should never try again in my life. That is not how humans develop, and that is not how we learn. So what if we started seeing that all of these skills that we're building up on a day-by-day basis is all leading us to one day walking and running and building more skills from that? And that it does not, just because you aren't there yet, just because you're still in process of learning that skill, it does not mean that you are unworthy, that you suck, that you should be there faster. You're trusting the timing, and you're getting back up every single time you fall on your butt. And you're saying to yourself, baby girl, you were so beautiful. Look at you go. In this, we can be both the baby and the benevolent parent. We can remember again and again and again that falling over and micro-stepping it is the way to building new skills. And the acquisition of skills takes time and heart and courage and bruises. But we can celebrate and be so thrilled with pride with every single step of achievement along the way. And we can know that evolution and growth comes naturally to all of us. It's what we are made for. We live in an age where one doesn't feel like enough. One like on a post, one follow, one sale. We dismiss it, we deride it, and it feels like it barely even counts, because what we really want, what really matters, is to go viral, for there to be a tsunami of people, for thousands of orders, all at once. And only that achieved a goal, that's when we know that we matter. That's when we know that we're a success. And yet we forget it begins with one, and one is all that matters. To know that one person was touched by your work, one person needs the thing that you have to offer, one person who loves what we are creating, one person who has their life changed by us. What is the value of one person's life? May we never again lose sight of how much one person matters in our lives and in our businesses. And may we bring all of our heart and gratitude back when one does appear. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, to know that even one life has breathed easier because you have lived. That is what it is to have succeeded. What if becoming more productive wasn't the silver bullet to success? What if ticking more things off your to-do list wasn't the fastest path to creating more revenue? What if rest and play and sparkle time that makes you come alive were the biggest drivers of your wealth instead? Sometimes we think if I just spend more time at my desk, that's when the breakthroughs will come. But we know that the breakthroughs usually come when we're away from our desk, when we're in flow state, when we're doing something else entirely, often in the shower, because nobody can talk to us in the shower. The shower gods visit us and give us these big downloads. You're like, oh my God, finally! More hours at the desk does not mean that you get those divine insights. It's more distraction from you. What you want to be able to do is regularly bring yourself up and out of your business so that you can see the forest for you, the trees, so that you can see the vision, so you can see the bigger picture of what is possible. Those are the things that are going to add zeros to your bank balance on the right end. I remember once seeing a social media post by one of those bropreneurs. You know the type. They speak like this, I'm pretty sure. And he was like, people often ask me how I get to fly at the pointy end of the plane every time I fly planes. And I'll tell you what it takes. It takes traveling 365 days a year. I barely see my kids. I work 7 days a week. And that kind of hustle, that kind of grind, that's what it takes to be a success. And that's what it takes to be flying at the pointy end of the plane. And I thought, mate, are you fucking stupid? Because I can fly at the pointy end of the plane, but I ain't working that much. I'm working 10 hours a week. If you can pull yourself up and out of your business and start looking at it more strategically, look at where you can have maximum impact with minimum hours, then you're creating true power. And also, you could not pay me enough money to miss out on my children's childhood. I'm never, ever, ever going to regret the times that I have placed my family as the biggest priority before my business. My business has to work around the corners of my family's life. I love that I've gotten to homeschool my children for a few years. I love that even though I have teenagers now, we're still so connected and so close because we've placed the priority on them. And then crafted a business around the sides to create lots of abundance for us to have glorious adventures. And I want you to know that that is possible and doable, and that you don't have to be a brokepreneur to fly the pointy end of the plane. What if all of this journey was leading us home? What if we decided to fall back in love with our lives, our bodies, our businesses, our relationships, our clients, and everything we already have? What if we created from this space of joy and gratitude instead? What if we let go of this old narrative that we needed to be anything but what we are? What if we decided our business could be this playground of adventure where we got to learn and play and evolve, experiment and try and do it all while being our own best friend and biggest cheerleader? What if we let ourselves deepen and soften in our marriage, our friendships, our connections? What if the best is yet to come? What if we saw ourselves as modern day goddesses? This is a photo I took of my beautiful friend Nixie. We really are the mighty Athena incarnate who is brave and courageous in battle and goes after what she wants. We are Queen Hera, who is mother to a legion of Olympians. Can you imagine that? Being a mother of 12 Olympic gods. Yes, we can imagine it because that's what we already have, right? Like it's us. It's us. This is our modern day lives. We are this. We are the Hawaiian goddess Pele, who is the volcano goddess who creates through her fire and her passion. We're the goddess Kali, the one who knows when to let go of the old, to embrace destruction in the cycle of life. We are Gunapipi, the mother goddess of Arnhem Land, who can hold all of creation in her hand at once. And this is the thing, the ancient goddesses were not perfect and they were not infallible. If you read their stories, you're like, wow, that's kind of effed up, guys. But we have hope because we realize that we too can be goddesses in the making. Our stories, we're crafting stories that are just as powerful as theirs. We are crafting legends from our lives. We could so easily go out and do what everybody else does and follow the path of get a job, follow that route. But instead, we are brave enough and courageous enough to see the spaces where we could reside and craft our own future instead. We are crafting whole new possibilities for our families and for our future generations. And every single year, our power and our wisdom grows. What if we could go back in time to our 14-year-old selves? What if we sat across her, from her in circle, and we told her of all of the miracles that we have created for ourselves, all the ways that we've backed ourselves, all the ways that we have steadfastly gone after our dreams, all the ways that we have healed and grown, all the lessons we've learned and how wise we have become, all the ways we've turned up for ourselves and our businesses, our families, and the world. Her eyes would widen and be full of wonder. You did this and you are her hero. You have made her so proud, and she is in awe of everything that you have created. You are her greatest dream made manifest, and you are still becoming. It has been a year since I began Project Re-enchantment in my own life. The ways in which my life and my business and my spirit have changed are profound. I am birthing a new body of work, and it's deepening and pushing the edges of my confidence and competence. My heart is thawing, and I have learned how to forgive at the ripe age of 42. I am more in awe, more astonished, and more grateful, and I know my best is yet to come. I've worked on regulating my nervous system to have more capacity. And I know now that I can grow to hold all of this, the duality, the blessings, the challenges that come with birthing my biggest dream in the world. I asked my husband if he'd noticed any changes in me, because it's the ones up close that are often the ones who see us most clearly. So this is what he told me. We met in my small hometown of Proserpine, which is a farming town in North Queensland. And I just want to be clear, he's not related to me, which is a friggin' miracle. Friggin' miracle, guys. It's a miracle I didn't marry a cousin. So it's one of the biggest achievements of my life, not marrying a cousin. Small town girlies, raise your hands. Woo, woo. Incest free, yay. You know, I saw his nose and I was like, oh, you're not from my mob. I like that. I really like that. Very attractive. I thought that's a good addition to the gene pool. Look, we need it. We really do. 4,000 people in my small hometown. My people go back 6 generations on both sides. You do the math. There's not many people who aren't swimming in that gene pool of mine. So that's where we met. Love story, not related. But that's not the point of the story. So every year the sugarcane gets planted in the flat fields surrounding the town. And you can see out across the fields, out to the beautiful Great Dividing Range. And then as the sugarcane grows, it grows taller and taller until the town becomes kind of caged in by walls of green that tower over it. And if you pay the kind of close attention to people that my husband does, you notice that the ways that people feel stuck, stymied, irritated, lost, unable to see a way forward or a way out. And then there comes the night when they'd light the sugarcane on fire and the whole sky would dance with sparks of light. And there was this beautiful kind of smell in the air. And in the morning you could see again out across the fields, out to the mountains, and the town would breathe this sigh of relief again. It could see the horizon and it could see the sky and the future full of possibilities. That, my husband said, is what happened to me. The sugarcane had been burned down and I could see again. What if you could feel the winds shifting in the leaves of the faraway tree? What if a whole new adventure awaits, your own project of re-enchantment, where the path becomes sacred and every mistake is holy? What if you gave up the world's worst boss and became your own loving cheerleader? What if you saw the impact of your work and as part of the vital scheme needed here on this planet? What if the pathway to riches was the ways that you most come alive? What if you could let go of a career and instead embrace a calling and discover that your life and your business could be richer in every single way? What if a new land has arrived for you and the sugarcane has been burned down and you could see what you couldn't see before, that there's a new day, a new possibility, and the best is yet to come? I thank you for sharing this time with me. I thank you for your attention, and I want you to know that I love you, even if I haven't met you, and I am cheering you on.